The Giants are, well, the Giants. Hello, New York Giants fans. Welcome back to the Everything New York Giants podcast with New York Giants fangirl. I am your host, Adrianna. In today's episode, I'm recapping the Giants loss to the Bengals on Sunday Night Football. So with that said, let's go ahead and get right into it. I have one quick little note for you guys. I am back on StreamYard with this episode. So tell me if there are any issues with sound or anything like that. Please let me know. You can comment here on YouTube or DM me. But it makes my life 100 times easier. The Giants already stress me out enough. I need this process of uploading videos to be a little bit easier. So I'm going back to StreamYard. So just let me know if there's any type of issue that you have on your end with sound or whatever. I couldn't get my microphone to work, but as you guys know by now, I'm quite loud. So I'm sure the sound will not be an issue. Anyway, with that being said, let's talk about this football team. And there's a lot to say. Also, another reason why I like StreamYard is I can go longer than 29 minutes and 50 seconds if necessary. So we'll see how things go today. The thing about this football team, and this is why going into the Seahawks game, I was very uncertain as to what we were going to see because there's such a lack of consistency that I never know what football team we're getting on Sundays. And I'm sure you guys all feel the same. Are we going to get the team that played in the first half against the Browns? Are we going to get the team that played the entire game versus Minnesota? No one knows. And then, they come out and they play so well against Seattle and they play complimentary football on all three sides of the ball that I'm going into the Bengals being like, all right, listen, the Bengals have a really good offense. That's obviously going to be a challenge for our defense, but I feel like we could probably battle it out with them. The biggest issue, I think, was that it was a primetime game. And I want to read you guys the stat. If you haven't seen it already, I'm sure you have seen it from Talking Giants. But for those of you who have not, I want people to fully understand what our fan base has done to our quarterback. And I know that a lot of people don't like him, and that's your prerogative. But these players are human, and no one is going to convince me that the fact that he has repeatedly gotten booed, probably every single time he walks out onto the field, that his primetime record is as bad as it is, that our own fan base literally hates him. No one is going to convince me that that's not the reason why Jones is so bad at home and at primetime. I'm sorry, there's literally no other reason for it, because let me read this stat to you. Daniel Jones has exactly 33 home games and 33 away games in his career. In his home games, in those 33 games, he has thrown 27 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, okay? 27 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, home games. In his away games, he's thrown 41 touchdowns versus 27 and 14 versus 30. You're not going to tell me it's not because of the fans, because it is. It 100% is. I was joking around about this last night during the live stream. Like, there needs to be an exorcism of the demons or something, because I honestly just believe that he cannot get out of his head what everyone at MetLife Stadium has said about him. And I know some people are going to be in the comments and be like, he's a grown man, he needs to figure it out, blah, blah, blah. I get it, but you guys also have to understand something. When you have tens of thousands of people on a regular basis telling you that you are the worst person and the worst quarterback in the NFL, and they're yelling at you when you walk out of home games and screaming at you and saying that you're not worth the money and literally booed you when you got drafted overall, like, there are so many things that at some point it's just going to get in your head. And it's very unfortunate and it sucks. And we can all agree that Daniel Jones is not an amazing quarterback. And last night he played like a horrible quarterback, which again goes back to the inconsistency. But I feel for him in the sense that I really think he can't get out of his own head, because he knows that literally our fan base hates him, which is just unfair. I just think that sucks. So I feel for him in that sense. I do not feel for him for making god awful, stupid fucking decisions, which is that interception. I talked about this during the Minnesota game and during the Texans preseason game. Inexcusable decisions. And what else is there to say? You can't make decisions. You can't do that. What's so frustrating is that outside of the Minnesota game, from weeks 2 to 5, he has made significantly better decisions, was more accurate with the ball, was not taking sacks that he shouldn't have been taken. Now, all of that being said, the offensive line has been the best offensive line that we have seen in decades. What happens last night against the Bengals? The offensive line gets some pressure early. Daniel Jones immediately reverts back to the Daniel Jones that can't cope under pressure. And I know the argument is going to be we need a new quarterback. And I get that. I'm with you. I want to draft a quarterback. But Drew Lock is not the answer here. I don't know what the answer is, but Drew Lock is not a better quarterback than him. Would he not make that same mistake? Maybe, maybe not. Did you guys see him during the preseason, which we barely got to see? But even during camp, he looked awful. So I don't know. If they decide to make a quarterback change, then so be it. I will support that decision if it is Drew Lock. Am I going to have high hopes that we're going to go and win all the rest of the games from there on out with Drew Lock? Absolutely fucking not. But, they're going to do what they want to do. I don't know what they're going to end up doing. I think that they're probably going to end up sticking with him at least for a little bit longer. But I really, really feel for the defense. And we're going to get into the stats in a minute, but I really feel for the defense because they are playing tremendous football. This is the defense. I know we all had our reservations about Shane Bowen, and everyone was worried about what this defense was going to look like without Kayvon. And as he said, guys, don't worry about it. What an amazing game. Let's talk about defensive stats first, because the only thing that's going to get me excited talking about this game. Azeez, oh my God, amazing. And what Shane Bowen did with this defense, I think a lot of it is the scheme is finally coming together, and maybe he deserved to have a little bit more trust from us, maybe not. But also the fact that the defense seems like it really has this system down, and they're not having some of the communication issues or the mistakes that we saw them have in weeks 1, weeks 2, and probably even into week 3. So I think the biggest thing that we can talk about and what we can be excited about is this defense, because they are firing on all cylinders. They held the Bengals to 17 points, which they basically held them to 10 points until the last 5 minutes of the game, which is incredible. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, all week, all the conversation is going into this week. We have a little bit of faith in Banks because he's coming off a good weekend against the Seahawks, right? But how do we really feel about two of the best receivers in the league? And they shut them down. It was amazing. Amazing. Okay. Hold on. Let me go to the Bengals stats, because they kept T. Higgins to 77 yards and Jamar Chase to 72. And I said, and I still stand by this, that if our defense could keep the two of them combined to around 150 yards, we're going to win this game. Now, we should have won the game. We would have won the game because the defense did their job. We would have won the game if Greg Joseph knows how to hit a fucking field goal, if Daniel Jones doesn't throw the worst fucking interceptions in the world, and if he could actually hit his receivers in stride, and if they didn't drop the ball, and maybe if the run blocking was better on. If all of those things worked for the offense, we would have literally blown them out. They only ran for 121 yards. 200 yards receiving. That is unheard of, literally unheard of for the way that Bengals offense was playing. They put up 38 points against the Ravens, 38 points. The Giants held them to 17. The Giants have held them in 6 weeks, have held every single team to 28 points or less. They had their worst week 1, 28 points against Minnesota. Since then, incredible. And we just can't even be excited. Micah McFadden recovered that fumble. Speaking of fumbles, that fumble at the end, it goes back to the complimentary football, right? Obviously, if the offense did their job, even if Greg Joseph hits one of the field goals, okay, at that point in the game, it's 10-10. It's 10-10. The defense recovers the ball. That's it. Run down the clock, make our way down the field, and get a field goal. Don't make any fucking boneheaded decisions. And then, boom, we've won the game 13-10, which is a joke, only scoring 1 touchdown, but we still would have won the game. And at that point, I don't care. I don't care if they only scored 13 points. They would have won the game. And it's just every week, week in and week out. It's all about the missed opportunities against the Commanders, the missed opportunities against literally every other team. This game, missed opportunities, interception in the red zone, disaster, bad balls to receivers, Darius Slayton with another drop, Wandale with a drop. It's really frustrating. But I want to keep talking about the defense because they had 4 sacks. 4 sacks. Dexter Lawrence, I'm telling you right now, listen to me. If anyone bets, go into your DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever you look at right now, okay? Go to Defensive Player of the Year award and put money on Dexter Lawrence. I don't care if it's $1. You're going to win something. There were 3 players who were in the top 3 for Defensive Player of the Year. It was Aiden Hutchinson, who now sadly is out for the rest of the season. And I think Myles Garrett was the other one. And then Dexter Lawrence. I bet on Dexter Lawrence on Thursday when it was either plus 1,600 or plus 1,700. I put $10 on it. It's looking pretty damn good that he's going to win that because he has 7 sacks in 6 games. Dude is a freak. I love him. I am devastated for him that this offense sucks. What makes it even worse is it's a year that we could be competing. We could actually be competing for the division. Actually. Because the Eagles and the Cowboys are so bad. They're finally at a position where they're weak and we could take advantage of it, except we can't because we don't know how to play complimentary football week in and week out. We can only do it every once in a while when they feel like it. On the road because they can't win at home. Okay, Dexter Lawrence is stat line 3 total tackles, 2 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 quarterback hit. I mean, I was just watching Dexter Lawrence go after Joe Burrow, and I just like the sack that he pulled him down to the ground on when he's like yanking at his jersey and stuff. I'm like, if I'm Joe Burrow, I would just immediately crumple to the floor and be like, yo, you got me. I'm good. Like 360 pounds, I'm good. I'm not going to fight you on this one. Just let me go. Just like literally don't kill me. He is a monster and I love him. And I feel so bad that this team can't win because he makes watching this team fun. And he's not the only one because Aziz, like I said, comes in. I know a lot of us have had faith in Aziz. He's an impact player when he's healthy. He just unfortunately is never healthy. And it's why his, career so far has been so up and down. He comes in and I feel like his stat line doesn't even do justice to the game that he had. It says 4 tackles, 2 solo, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 quarterback hits. The guy was unbelievable last night, and it makes me feel so much better because I was one of the people who was worried that with Kayvon gone, I knew we were going to see more Aziz, but we haven't seen enough from Aziz so far to say he's going to replace what Kayvon has done because Kayvon has played quite well this year. And the fact that now Aziz said it's a contract year, baby, I'm going to do what I got to do to secure the bag. Love it. Very happy for him. Excellent game. Brian Burns, another guy, incredible. And then it came out afterward that he was telling some of the beat writers in the locker room he was limping off the field and that his groin was bothering him again, which has been plaguing him for a couple weeks now. And I love the grit in him. And one of the things that I said during the live too is, one of the things that I like about Kayvon, the way that he's been playing this year is you do feel like he's all over the field. He's making tackles. He's chasing guys down. He's very active during the games. And that's also what I was worried about missing because Aziz is not that great against the run. Brian Burns had 8 tackles right behind Tyler Nubin, who led the team with 9. 8 tackles, 4 solo, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 quarterback hits. I mean, that might have been one of the best games of his career. He was incredible, so fun to watch. The defense, man, they really pulled it together, did an incredible job. I'm really proud for them. And it makes me really sad that they couldn't really enjoy their performance. So like I said, Nubin led the team with 9. He also had a tackle for loss, 5 solo tackles. McFadden, decent game, 5 tackles. So McFadden, Banks, Okereke, and Phillips all had 5 tackles. Drew Phillips also had a tackle for loss, and Bobby O had a pass deflection. So, and Tay Banks did a really nice job of keeping up with Chase when he was on him. And, I feel like Banks is getting to that point where he's got some He's got some confidence in himself and some, he knows the system really well, and he's playing well. And I give these guys a lot of credit. They did well. Even Cordell Flott, like, he has one great play and then one not great play, but I felt like overall he's at a point where he's really developing and improving. And I'm happy about that. This is what I want to see from these guys. Like, these are only in their first, second, third years with the Giants. Like, this is when they really need to be stepping it up and playing well. And they're at the point where they're doing that. And, for everyone who wants Joe Schoen fired, he's not getting fired. When you look at what the players that he has drafted have done for this team, I just really don't understand why you would want him gone. If your only argument is the Daniel Jones contract, fine, but everything else outside of that has been relatively good. So, anyway, yeah, overall, a really great game from the defense. They did a really nice job. And again, I'm really disappointed that they couldn't enjoy it. So with that being said, let's talk about the offense. I also want to talk about the offensive line because Andrew Thomas said after the game that he is getting an MRI on his foot because it was bothering him towards the end of the game. So I need everyone to right now, whatever you believe in, say a little prayer that Andrew Thomas's MRI comes back negative and he's okay. Because if Andrew Thomas goes down, these are our swing tackle options. Okay. I want you to hear me, and then I want you to go pray or something, whatever it is that you believe in and do. It's Joshua Zudu or Evan Neal. I am dead fucking serious. Unless they bring in a swing tackle, which just, if Tyree Phillips is ready to go, I don't know if he's ready to go. He's been progressing nicely. If I'm Joe Schoen, Tyree Phillips is my first call right now. Immediately. Because I have faith. I have the tiniest bit of faith, okay, that Neal and Azudu are serviceable. And the reason that I say that is because Carmen Brasillo has done wonders with this offensive line this year. And I feel like if he was capable of doing that, I feel like he must be capable of getting both of those players to be slightly better than what they were in the past. And maybe it's wishful thinking, but let me enjoy that until I'm proven otherwise for approximately 5 seconds. So, I will say I was disappointed in the offensive line, though. I don't really have a ton of stats here on them. Hold on, give me 1 sec, because I think that I could find one from the Giant Insider. They usually post about pressures and stuff like that. So, coffee break. Here's a great stat I know you guys are going to love to hear. The 47-yard touchdown run on 3rd and 18 by Joe Burrow was the longest run by an opposing quarterback since November 1st, 1942. Almost 100 years ago. The Giants, you know what they're really good at is breaking insane fucking records that no one's ever heard of in their life. That's what they're good at, because they're not really good at much else. So anyway, I don't see the snap counts or the pressures or anything from the offensive line. Doesn't really matter. I don't know. All I know is if you were watching that game, you could tell that the offensive line was struggling. Andrew Thomas had probably his worst game of the year against Henriksen, who just came in here and just knew how to destroy him. Maybe he just has a bad ankle and it just bothered him the whole game, and that's why. But it's tough. It's so tough because he's one of our most reliable players. And it just kind of felt like when he wasn't on, everyone else on the offense also couldn't figure it out. And the run blocking the first half was awful after they come off a game last week where they were incredible. Again, it's the inconsistencies. And it's really at this point only on the offense. Like the defense, you guys are good. I have no beef with you. You're fine. Another coffee break. But the offense, the inconsistency is just bad, just so bad. Daniel Jones, 22 for 41 for 190 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked twice for 15 yards. And one of the sacks was on Thomas, which again, just he's one of the few guys to look forward to seeing play every week because he's usually pretty spot on. So I'm really, like I said, I'm really just hoping that it's an injury thing and he's going to be fine because I don't want to think about the alternative. So the rushing attack, 119 yards. 119. The Bengals had 2 more yards rushing, 121. Jones, 11 carries for 56 yards. Tyrone Tracy, 17 for 50. And Eric Gray, 3 for 13. Okay, let me finish on the receiving, and then I'm going to get into the play calling because I have major beef with what Daboll was doing yesterday. Receivers, Darius Slayton and Tyrone Tracy both had exactly 6 receptions for 57 yards. Now, the difference between the two of them is that Tyrone Tracy had 6 targets and Slayton had 11. Now, not all 5 of those targets to Slayton were catchable balls, but some of them are. And again, it just goes back to the frustration. The other frustration is if Neighbors was on the field, do we all feel like we win this game? I would feel at least 80-20 that we win the game if Neighbors is on the field, because I would feel like Neighbors would have had at least 1 touchdown. Probably only 1, honestly, the way that the game went. But it would have been enough. It would have been enough, you know? And then maybe you don't have Darius with 11 targets and 5 that were bad, which again, some of that is on Jones. He was inaccurate with his throws. And I don't know what else to say about Jones, guys, other than he was god awful last night. The inconsistencies with him are really frustrating. And I just think that he is damaged to the point where when he deals with any type of pressure, he can't come back from it. And he did a little bit in the second half. Like his throws were a little more accurate, but still not great. And it is what it is for the rest of the year. Again, maybe we're going to see Drew Lock. Maybe we're going to see Tommy Cutlets. Don't get your hopes up there. But Daniel Jones is not the future. And I know so many people are like, let's just tank and whatever. I mean, I don't want to because I want to win. I want nothing more than to absolutely fucking smoke Nick Sirianni and the Eagles on Sunday. But I don't know. All I know is that I want Daniel to play the way that he played against the Seahawks, because the Giants are way more fun to watch when that's what's happening. And when we're winning games, we are all happier and we can worry about the future later. You know, I don't know. That's how I live my life. I live in the present. Wan'Dale Robinson, out of 11 targets, had 5 receptions for 50 yards. Theo Johnson, again, 3 for 3. Last week, he was 5 for 5. 3 receptions for 30 yards. Jalen Hyatt, out of 4 targets, had 1 reception for 6 yards. And Isaiah Hodgins went 1 for 5 yards. So 22 receptions for 205 yards. Let's talk about Jalen Hyatt and Theo, because the same thing goes for Wan'Dale as the same thing goes with Slayton, is that they both need to fix their drops, and Daniel Jones needs to hit them in the chest with the ball. Be a little bit more accurate, please. And I know that not every quarterback does that every single time. And I'm not saying I expect Daniel Jones to do that every time. I just expect him to get it in the vicinity that they can actually make the play, instead of on a deep ball, it being 3 yards ahead of him and Darius has no chance of catching the ball. Okay. I need some consistency here. You let the receivers make plays when they can make the plays. You give them the option, but they are not Neighbors. Even Neighbors struggles on some of those crazy throws that Jones just throws up to him and being like, Neighbors will catch it. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. But they don't all have the talent level that Neighbors does to come down with those balls. So he has to be more accurate on those. And like I said, I just think he really, when he feels the pressure early, he just doesn't know how to come back from that. And I just think it's because he's so damaged from being hit 7,000 times. So, okay. Theo Johnson, 2 weeks in a row now, has 100% reception rate. Can we give him the fucking ball, please? And I know that also last night Jones was not getting through all his reads, and he was going to the first read every time, even though sometimes there were guys who were wide open. I get it. This has always been our beef with Jones, but this is what happens when the offensive line can't block. He reverts back and makes stupid decisions. We all know that, okay? Which is why when the offensive line blocks so nicely, we're all like, oh my God, Daniel Jones knows how to throw an accurate pass. I want to see Theo Johnson get the ball more. Please, for the love of God, give him the ball. And I think part of this also falls on Daboll too. And we're going to talk about the play calling, but first, Jalen Hyatt. got the impression yesterday, and maybe I'm reading too much into things, which I've been known to do a time or two. Your girl can be an overthinker, so maybe that's just what it is. I felt like he was not trying that hard. And I don't want to be the person that is questioning anyone's heart, passion, love of the game, whatever you want to call it. Because if someone did that to me, if someone watched this episode and came up to me and said, I don't really think that you care about the Giants that much, I don't really think that you like them, I would beat the fuck out of them. So I get it. I don't want to be that person, okay? But I just got that vibe from him a little bit. And maybe it's just because of the play call on the fucking 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8, whatever it was. I think it was 3rd and 8, and they throw him a 6-yard pass. That's on Daboll for a stupid fucking play call that he does every single week on 3rd down. And he does it repeatedly, and I want to kill him. I literally want to kill him for that. This is not a threat. AI, whoever's listening to this, it's not a threat. But the decision making on 3rd down makes me want to bang my head into a wall repeatedly until my brain stops working so I don't have to think about it. Because it's every single time. Every single time. It's 3rd and long. The play call is going to be a 5-yard dump to Wan'Dale Robinson, who has 2 defenders on him, and he's expected to make a 3-yard play. Someone explain to me why that is the play call. And I don't want to hear that it's Jones doing the first read and he's not looking anywhere else. I don't want to hear that it's Wan'Dale running short of the sticks. I don't want to hear that it's on the receiver to make the play. Because when it's the same thing every time, it's literally every single time, you guys. This is not a one-off occasion. If it's a one-off, then you can say any one of those things. You can say he didn't run the route correctly, Jones can't get past the first read, and the receiver should be making a play. Fine. You can say all of those things, or you can pick 1 or 2 of them. I literally do not care. But when it happens repeatedly on 3rd down, it is the play call. It's whether or not the offensive line is blocking. It's whether or not Daniel Jones is having a good game. It's whether or not the throw is to Wan'Dale or to Darius Slayton or to Jalen Hyatt. It is always the same thing. And it's fucking insane. It's literally insanity to do the same thing every single time and then be surprised that it doesn't work. These are the times when I hate Daboll, and I am like, stop being so fucking stubborn. Like, you're stubborn to the point where you're stabbing yourself in the foot. Get rid of the knife. Okay, so if you guys have been here for a little while, this is not the first time we've had this conversation. So you know how I feel about it. Why I understand that early on in the game, the Giants were down 7-0. I get it. Okay. But the defense was playing lights out, and 85% of the drives, the Bengals offense went 3 and out. Okay. Okay. We got that clear. Why are you not running the ball? Why on the first drive of the game for the offense, you're throwing it 3 times in a row? Why? I cannot make sense of it. I just can't. I understand that you trust the receivers. I understand whatever the fucking rationale is for it. It's not a good one. It's not a good rationale. There's no reason why they shouldn't have come out running the ball. For the second time now in 3 weeks, we are playing one of the worst run defenses in the league. And instead of deciding to run the ball, you decide to just wing the ball all over the field. It's the first fucking drive. Just try it. I don't know what else to say other than it's literal insanity. It's insane. And at that point, it's just like, what kind of game plan are you coming up with? You see the stats, you see the injuries. BJ Hill had the best game he's probably ever had in his whole fucking life. And of course, it's against the Giants. He was never that good when he was on the Giants. He was average. Okay. Could have kept him. Sure. Now, the one game against the Giants, literally, I don't even want to know how many tackles he had. Do I need to pull this up? He probably led the team. 7 tackles. 7 tackles, 3 solo, 2 pass deflections, and 2 quarterback hits. Okay. BJ Hill. Then the second half, okay, they finally start running the ball. And Tracy ends up 50 yards. Okay, not amazing. Still ended up with over 100 yards total. But he still was able to have a few really nice runs. He's a great running back. We all love Tracy. Glad he got the ball in his hands. But he was able to open up some lanes. Whatever adjustments they made at halftime seemed to work at least a little bit. Better than whatever the hell they were doing in the first half. The play calling, it's really infuriating. I'm already over the 30-minute mark. I'm going to wrap it up soon with special teams. But I can't for the life of me understand the decision making from Daboll and using all the timeouts with the headset issue again. It's Joe Judge all over again. We're at our home stadium. We can't even get the fucking headsets to work. I need to burn a timeout because of that. It honestly feels like a clown show sometimes. It does. And for the most part, I feel like we're headed in the right direction and we have some things figured out. And, I said this last night too, but I feel like this team from a talent perspective is a light years better than it was at this time last year. Even, this offseason when we had all our concerns, the players are playing the way that, we hope that they would. And now we could be about a quarterback and maybe a couple other players. We need some depth in different areas away. And then I just get so frustrated with some of Daboll's decisions because I'm just like, I literally cannot understand for the life of you what is running through your head right now and why anyone thought it was a good idea. I just don't know. I didn't like the play calling at all. I've been really hit or miss on Daboll's play calls this year. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it sucks. I know we all felt the same way about Kafka. So someone asked me yesterday if I think they'll go back to Kafka. I don't know. They're not going to make any changes to that. Last year, it sounds like it was a shit show going back and forth between Daboll and Shane being on the headsets and whatever the hell was going on. They're not going to do that again. They're going to let Daboll ride it out. But I need someone to help Daboll not make stupid decision makings and get better at the clock management thing. And again, with the kicker, they learned, I can say that we have one instance where Daboll learned from his mistake. So when Jamie Gillen gets put on the injury report late in the week, they sign a punter. Great. He was fine. I don't have any complaints about him. Was he Jamie Gillen? No. Was he awful? Also no. Greg Joseph last week was perfect. Again, in an away stadium with a 12th man, with way more kicks than he had yesterday. And he hit them all. And then yesterday, misses a 47-yarder, a 45-yarder, and was not even allowed to attempt a 54-yarder because he couldn't hit the 47, which for that I say good for you, Daboll, because you got to pick and choose when you're going to give guys a second chance. So I get it. I would have also had no faith that he was going to hit a 54-yarder after missing a 47, Jesus, and then misses a 45-yarder. And then today, Daboll spoke to the media. He does this on purpose. There's no doubt in my mind. Speaks to the media on Monday morning after a game. You know when he meets with the medical staff? Monday afternoon. So he can go into these meetings and be like, yeah, no, I got no injury updates. I got nothing new for you. Tuesday's an off day. Not going to hear about injury updates till Wednesday. He's strategic. I'll give him that. So no update. Anyway, he was asked about Graham Gano today. which is why I bring this up. And he said, I have no update on Graham. So we're probably going to stick with Greg Joseph. And I don't listen. It's not all on Greg Joseph because Jones was also awful. I just want to see complimentary football again. We went a whole glorious week where we were hitting on all cylinders. And then exactly 1 week later, only one works. Only one out of the three. Like, why? What's with the lack of consistency? It's very frustrating. So anyway, we'll see what they end up doing. We will find out on Wednesday injury updates. So we will get the following. We will get an update on Andrew Thomas's MRI. Like I said, in the meantime, pray to whatever you believe in. I mean, we got to hope that Andrew Thomas is okay. We will find out what is going on with Brian Burns's groin issue. He did play out the whole game, but like I said, he was limping off the field and, he told the press that he was having a rough go. So we'll find out about that. We'll see if there's any update on Gunner, any update on Graham Gano, see if either of those guys or the two of them are potentially returning from IR. And then we will also find out about Singletary and Neighbors. So I expect both of those guys to be back for Sunday's game against the Eagles. We need Neighbors on Sunday. At the very least, we need Neighbors. So again, pray to whatever it is you believe in. As of Friday, the update for Neighbors was that he was doing better and was able to do some football activities. So whatever little setback he had, it seems like he's on an upward trajectory. So again, let's all hope and pray for the best. It's going to do it for this episode, guys. I post daily on my Instagram page. It's at New York Giants Fangirl. If you want any updates sooner than that, this is the handle right down here. So if you want any updates sooner than that, check out my Instagram. Every Tuesday, I do a Q&A. So tomorrow, if you want to air your grievances in the question box, by all means, go ahead. I get to as many questions as I can. And then I will be back later this week with another podcast previewing the Giants versus Eagles game. So I think we have a chance at that game. I'll just say that. So anyway, enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you guys for listening. Please like, subscribe, share with a friend. We will get through the rest of this Giants season together. And at the very least, go Yankees or go Mets. We've got baseball and now we've got hockey. And for those of you who like basketball, we've got other sports to entertain us in the meantime. So go Giants.